called sentiment analysis. I think someone mentioned it. So AI these days have been trained on data that even observes sentiment analysis. So based on the question the person asks, you can tell what kind of response. So this is where ethical considerations come into play. You have to ensure that that human supervision is very necessary for validation. The results we are getting, its application and its usage are well supervised so that we don't get biased response. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tishe. You know, I'm just excited because I was looking at the questions and somehow they have touched on almost all the different areas that I wanted them to touch on. But I just want to, you know, kind of this last question. We've talked a lot about AI in the industry and, you know, we've looked at the big picture and stuff, but we have people here today from industry, we have students. What I want to ask, you know, and in the African context is what this whole AI thing we are talking about. How do we bring it home, local content? How do we make it work for us in Ghana, in Nigeria, in the different countries that are represented here, Kenya and Uganda? How are we going to infuse all these beautiful AI things we are talking about? How do we bring it home? How is it going to improve our local content? How is it going to improve our workforce? Because at the end of the day, there were concerns about, is it taking away our jobs? And I think from the kind of conversation we've had so far, that's really not what the case is. It's a case of us upskilling and staying relevant, because there was something someone said, and AI is not going to take away your job. If you're a reservoir engineer or petroleum engineer or a geologist, you know who's going to take your job? It's going to be a geologist who has an data science background or who has upskilled into data science. So that lets you understand the importance of AI. I mean, if you're talking about the local content now. But I just want us to sign off with the last few words before, you know, we just throw it out to if there's a few questions, because I presume that maybe there might be a few questions. So in just 1 minute, just going from Tishe all the way down to Temitokwe, can you just tell me what this AI means for us as, you know, in terms of local content?
Thank you very much. I will not go and start mentioning all the challenges. I don't really like talking much about challenges. I always like to see solutions. Now, local content, first of all, like Temitope mentioned, we need to break that trust barrier. We need to break it. We need to trust it, that it is here to stay. It is something that it can help us. And we also have to know that it is an enabler, not replacing us. So we should embrace it. Now, there are many AI models, tools, routine tasks. Just think about what you are doing today. If you take an S-ray of your job, you are probably spending 80% of your time either looking for data or doing repetitive tasks, right? Good. Have you asked yourself the question, what if I design an AI model like an Einstein and personal assistance? And that's actually what generative AI is, to do that task so you can focus on other things. That's it. That's all you need. And guess what? That's what generative AI is doing today. Give him the routine tasks. It's your assistant. It's just that you have the brain of Einstein and more. Give him those things. Embrace it. Encourage it. Get the support of your management. Get the support of the government. Do the collaboration. And trust me, you will go beyond the sky as your limit. Thank you.
Good question. We have a lot of regional successes with AI implementation that we need to talk more about. You know, in Africa, let me just go back to Nigeria. We have refineries that undergo routine maintenance. Now, this maintenance is calendar-based. It's not condition-based, in the sense that, you know, if it's every year, that maintenance has to be done, and during that maintenance, there is shutdown. Total shutdown. First of all, we all know that there's under capacity utilization of the refineries. So which means that as the Port Harcourt refinery is probably operating at 30% or less of its capacity. So we never ever get to that refined capacity. So when you now add shutdowns to this scenario, it puts us in a very difficult situation. You know, so that's really the dilemma in the refinery space. Now, Angola has been, or even South Africa, I think South Africa has been in the forefront of using condition-based maintenance. in the sense that they actually have sensors in various parts of the refineries, and these sensors and cameras feed streams of data into an AI model. And this AI model is able to be trained in a predictive mode to tell when specific aspects of these refineries need maintenance, rather than, so it could be, for example, that the refinery maintenance could be skipped, maybe for 3 years before it is gone for maintenance. Now, this is a very successful model that South Africa has been using. Angola is also been doing a lot of AI-enhanced drilling. So they get seismic data. First of all, through quantum computing, they have very huge streams of seismic data that they receive, and this seismic data is able to be transformed into images, so they can see irregular patterns, they can see anomalies, they can see hotspots, they can see all kinds of things. Far better than we used to do it traditionally. And if there are geophysicists in the room, they know how long it takes to read seismic data. But with these models, they do it at a fraction of a second. Now, I'm going too far. There is a documented case with the University of Ghana collaborating with the oil and gas industry to have applied, which is the model that you were talking about, applied AI. So they go to the researchers, which in this case is the University of Ghana, PhD students, MSc students. So it becomes a problem that they will have to solve. And many of the problems we solve, they are production optimization problems. If you really look at it, you are optimizing an objective function all the time. If you're a production engineer, you don't want sand to come into your reservoir, okay, but you want maximum oil. So there is a objective function is to produce oil. The constraint is the sand, or the water in that case. So optimizing an objective function subject to certain constraints. So many problems can be modeled like this, really. And the advantage of AI is that it has the ability to, process this data very quickly once it is trained. Once it is trained, it processes the data and gives you an optimal solution.
Oh,
So,
I just want you to,
okay,
because I want everybody to just give me their last words, because there are people who have questions.
So that's just to say there are regional successes that we need to highlight more. There are local challenges that the oil industry is faced with, and through the collaboration models that we have talked about, we can easily exploit this to leverage on the solutions.
Uncle Atu, 30 seconds. 30 seconds.
Okay, thank you. I will start by looking at it from the government regulatory framework and what strategies the government has in place for the implementation of AI. Looking at it to make sure that there's clear legal clarity, ethical guidelines on how it should be used. And then the next aspect is the educational aspect, which you mentioned, for the educational institutions to look at the introduction of data science as part of the curricula, and then to enhance the abilities of the students in terms of the use of data science, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and so on. The other aspect is the collaboration aspect. Years ago, we used to have the JIPs, just joint industry projects, which were used to create the likes of WITS ML and things like that. And that is something that we can look at to get that collaboration going on, not only between the industry, but also with academia. And that's my contribution.
Thank you, Uncle Atu. Chijioke?
Yes. So talking about collaboration, I think there's still opportunity to continue to grow that. There's been a lot of successes around that as well, where Google has a AI research center here in Ghana a couple of years ago. IBM has in Kenya and other countries. You also have Microsoft as well. So these several technology providers, even Schlumberger and all the others in the oil and gas, are investing a lot. But we need to continue to build on that human capacity development in Africa to ensure that we're positioned to solve our local problems, or challenges in the oil and gas, leveraging the data that we generate locally. You're not going to train a model in Europe and with European data and generalize it here. It's not going to work. So it's very key, and we need our people to be upskilled. Now, when you talk of that upskilling, you look at our curriculum today. Some universities are doing very well, but a couple are still behind. You look at, you talked about the data science in the curriculum. Some are still teaching Fortran as a programming language. Yes. I got to talk to a student a couple of months ago. He was just hearing of Python. And I gifted him my Python book. It was third year computer science in an African university. So it was an eye-opener for me, but there is a huge gap. And we don't need to get to the university level. Let's start from STEM, science, technology, and engineering in the primary, secondary level. Let's start teaching our kids coding, Scratch, and let them start getting their hands so that when they get to that tertiary level, it's something they're already used to, and that's the way we're going to be able to catch up, and really this is cuts across both the government, the technology providers, the operators in the oil and gas. So I want to just stop there. I know we're pressed for time.
So I'm not going to say much because everyone has already waxed lyrical about the topics. All I will just say is with regards to the future, you talked about local. Charity begins at home. How do we train our youths? How do we train our young ones and the lover of sports? Serena Williams and Venus Williams did not become stars by just training when they became adults. They started from when they were kids. And Chijoke touched on it. In our curriculum, right from primary school, we can infuse coding, programming into our curriculum. What they start with from that age is what they'll continue with. And what we want is we want our youths tomorrow. We don't want someone to say, I'm a geologist, but I don't have data science. When you have started with data science from when you were in primary school, secondary school, you are good. No one needs to look at data science as a special thing. It's special to us because definitely the age range of people here, we started with very, very analog things and we had to learn digital. But for the next generation, we need to put them in a position whereby they're studying. And this starts with getting partnership between the academia and the industry. Let the industry be part of the curriculum development. The universities cannot be in silos. It will fail. The academia are working to get people ready for the industry. The industry needs to be part of the curriculum development of what they're teaching those students. And
So
that's the key.
I'm not trying to cut you short, but that's happening. And I'll give kudos to KNUST on that. They've actually set up a committee. I'm part of that committee to kind of address what you're saying.
That is excellent.
The summary of what you are saying is catch them young.
Catch them young.
That's
yes.
all. CTY, catch them young. So I think there's a question from the audience, and I'm just going to, okay. I'm taking only two. Unfortunately, I saw two hands first. Voila. You can talk to the rest of the panel after the session, but because of, I'm sure people are hungry now, so. Okay. It's not on.
Thank you, distinguished panel. I think the two gentlemen started to talk about what I am seeing, but I'm seeing a different problem. I'm actually seeing an over-reliance on this very powerful software by young people, because I can click a mouse button and do everything I would have done in 3 months. I can do it in 5 minutes, without the fundamental understanding of the science behind it, of what the algorithm is doing and what it's churning out. Because as far as you're concerned, you come out with a result. And then having that, critical thinking to be able to QC the knowledge is not, QC the result is not there. So my question is, and this is not about starting them young, and that's a very valid one. Those ones that are starting young already are digital natives. I think it's easier, a little bit easier for them because they develop their critical thinking alongside with technical. I'm talking about young folks who actually studied petroleum engineering and are not privy to the Pascals and the Fortrans and the Pythons of the world, but have to come into the industry and then learn those skills and learn it very quickly, right? So it's not their background. They are having to innovate themselves to learn these skills. My question is, where do they start from? What do you advise?
Okay, thank you. My name is Albert Lendenwine. I think it's a very good topic that I'm talking about. And as I sit here and listen to the discussion, I cast my mind back at the point where computers were being introduced, vis-a-vis the typewriters and the marking of maps and all that. And the uproar, the industry was not even ready to accept the computing. And I think that is where we have found ourselves. So for me, we need to look at how will the panelists sitting here, those of us who are exposed to this AI, how are we going to be agent of change? How are we going to educate our young ones? What confidence are we giving to the young engineers, young geologists that truly, truly the AI is not going to take their job? It's a Herculean task that is ahead of all of us. Whether we like it or not, AI has come to stay and it's going to be with us. And therefore, all of us should embrace it. But the onus is on us as industry players, industry professionals, to give comfort to the young ones regarding whether AI is here to take their job or how they can use AI to harness their professionals. And we need to be intentional about this. And as an industry player, we should also focus on the industry that we work in, oil and gas. Probably most of the AI that has come is more generic. Are we thinking about focusing in our industry? What development are we doing? What AI development are we doing? We're talking about a STEM. If you go to the petroleum industry, are we catching them? Or the specialists and the professionals are just talking about it? We should take the very meaningful step forward of taking everybody along through education. Not only STEM, but all of us need to be educated. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So
Yeah.
just a quick
Let
response.
So let me kill two birds with one stone.
Okay, there's one more question here.
Or three birds with one stone.
It's a very interesting topic, so I know there are a lot of questions and comments.
I want to talk about opportunity, money, okay? I'll leave you guys to educate the young ones. If you look at the East African market, 300 million, you're looking at countries like Kenya, Uganda, DRC, which is the wealthiest country on earth in terms of resources, okay? So all this stuff that you're talking about, I'll give you an opportunity. Come and see me. July, we have the we have the geothermal conference in Kenya. 2 years' time, we want to bring in the World Congress on geothermal. So if you guys can come in July with all the information that you have, you're looking at a potential in Kenya of 10,000 megawatts of power, okay? So you can do the calculation from there. So it's about money. Let's talk.
So yeah, let me quickly address those questions. My friend will say, let me kill 2 or 3 birds with one stone and retrieve the stone. All right, so the 3 questions are basically AI taking jobs, the relevance of domain knowledge, and also the opportunity for cash flow money. So now, the first thing about AI taking jobs, in no particular order, I'll just answer very briefly. The first thing or aspect about the AI taking jobs is to first of all acknowledge the fear. Now, acknowledging the fear means knowing that indeed most of the thing AI does is to automate repetitive, recurring tasks so that it can free human beings to take more complex decisions, really, basically. So if you are the type of person. I actually had a sister who went to Canada and she was entering data. She got a job and she was just entering data. Before you knew it, she lost her job. And I said, why? Because all she was doing is just repetitive. And a robot can do that. So, upskilling, we cannot overemphasize that. Clear. Number two, she talked about over-reliance on the data, garbage in, garbage out. But if you're lacking the requisite domain knowledge, you cannot replace this. But if you have the domain knowledge, especially, then the AI is that subset that you need to include to complete your universal set. You know what I'm talking about. So that you remain continuously relevant. So because the advantage you have with domain knowledge is that you know, in fact, my boss used to say that when he steps on a drilling rig, from the noise on the rig, he will tell whether they are in shale or sand. This is domain knowledge, and he's serious. He spent all his life in the oil patch. So this thing comes, you know when you see data, you know whether it makes sense or not. Then the answer to your question is that there's opportunity, and you get the right numbers. Yeah. But my boss used to tell me, James, because I was the only local staff working among experts, and he used to pain me that they were making dollars. And for all the time I spent offshore, I was making naira. But he used to tell me that money withheld is money deferred. What it means is that the money you don't make now, you can make it tomorrow because it's the same wellhead. If you've seen a wellhead 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, you become an expert. You know how many tons to turn to close the master valve without being told. Or you can attend a meeting and you can take charge, because you... So, now, but if you are the type who is not passionate about this business, then you become like many people I have seen. They come and they say, my grandmother died, and you'll be surprised that their grandmother has died like 20 times. Because there's always an excuse they give for not going offshore. Oh, I can't go now because I lost my father, I lost my, But if you are the type who bring yourself to work, knowing that payday is coming, you can take it and go. So you need to, nobody will do this for you. I work in Saudi now, I've been in Saudi for 15 years, but I didn't start there. So this is some of the things we can say that, there will come a time when you name your price because they need you for your experience.
Right.
All right, so that's it.
Thank you very much. I know there are still more questions, more comments, but I know people are also hungry. Sheyi just wants to give an example, and with that example, I'm going to bring the panel to a close. So, Sheyi, I'm giving you 30 seconds.
Okay, I'll do less than 30. So, I love the question she brought up because it's very key in our industry today, and it touched on what you are saying. And if you recall my conversation, I mentioned something called domain data scientist. Every component of that word DDS is important. Without the domain, there is nothing the AI wants to solve. And likewise, if you stick only to the domain, you will do a 6-month job for 6 months. So you need that integration, you need that bridge, you need that collaboration. And the best people to be trained on AI are domain people, because that's what I'm saying. You can start from your domain knowledge and you learn and skill yourself on the AI part. Like we mentioned here, the AI part is just going to help you to free up time from your monotonous repetitive work and deal with better things which will bring more innovation and more things that will benefit you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I know people still want to speak, but I'll have to, put a hard stop at this time. What I just want to comment, I think someone, James also mentioned that we are going to have a much detailed session sometime. SP would communicate the details so that we can actually delve deeper into these topics, because it's not something you can exhaust in 50 minutes or 1 hour. There's so much concerns, there's so much contributions. So I think they will communicate the details of that much later, and then we can actually have enough time to go and even show some real-time examples. He's done some amazing projects, and I'm sure everyone here has something to share. So at that time, we'll be able to go deeper. But for today, I have to bring this panel to an end, and I just want to say a very big thank you to my amazing panelists with a wealth of knowledge that I was having so much struggle to tell them, keep it under a certain time. But thank you all so much. And thank you for being an amazing audience and, giving us your rapt attention. At this time, I'll hand it over to the MC.
One of the photographs will be able to capture you. So if you can be in the middle. Okay, so we have these presentations also. So for Dr. James. For Chi. So wait. Okay. Araba. Yes. Okay, then a group photograph. Simon, if you can join as well, and then Dr. Riverson, if you can join. Lunch will be for just 30 minutes. Yes, just 30 minutes. We all having lunch in the venue for the lunch is Opera. So Opera 1 and 2. Look for Opera 1 and 2. Everybody's supposed to have a coupon. If you haven't got a coupon, please do well to get one before you can go for lunch, because you'll be inspected before you can have your lunch. And so we will circle back at exactly 3:40. 15, yes, 3:40, exactly 3:40. We'll be here for, so exactly 2:40, 14:40, we'll be here for the second session. See you soon.
The gas plant processes raw gas from both Jubilee and 10 fields. The gas is transported through a 12-inch pipeline from the FPSO Kwame Nkrumah to the Atuabo plant at a distance of 58 kilometers. The raw gas is processed to obtain the following products: lean gas, that's sales gas, LPG, and condensate. The company plans to commence pentane production in the near future. The lean gas product from the processing plant is transmitted through 110-kilometer gas export pipeline infrastructure to generate power at the plant's near Takrady Regulating and Metering Station, TRMS, onshore terminal stations, OTS, distribution valve stations, DVS, and Prestia Regulating and Metering Station, PRMS, at Prestia. The LPG and condensate will be consumed locally and or exported.
It is amazing that all this complexity is manned completely by significantly very young Ghanaian engineers. This is the new story of the Ghana gas plant after just a few years in operation, something our president cannot help but applaud.
We have initially employed the services of what do you call an operations and maintenance consultant. These were the Chinese. And they have been actually operating the pipeline and the processing plant on our behalf. And we are grateful for that. But I believe it had come to a time where our men and women should actually take control of the consoles, take control of the processing apparatus, take control of our process areas, and actually run the plants themselves, also run the pipelines. So we have totally indigenized our operation. So if you go there, as you did, you saw that almost everyone there on the process floor, in the control room, at our utilities area, they're all Ghanaians.
You're saying that now the entire facility is being run by Ghanaians.
Absolutely, and we're very proud of that. 3 years we are totally indigenized. So we are very proud of that.
That's a good story. That's a really good story.
If you look at the configuration of the current pipeline, it is just laid along the coast, which is it's really going from Atuabo, like you mentioned, all the way to Takoradi. And there's an intent probably to extend it all the way to Tema. So the Esiama Prestia line, it's a very strategic pre-build, what we call a pre-build, towards building a network of pipeline in country. So that will be the critical artery in terms of diversifying our supply source going inside the country. So Ghana Gas' presence is really significant, not just for addressing our power shortage problem that we have, but also contributing modestly to our forex. We certainly believe that we will be the bedrock for the industrial revolution which the president talks about.
We one day dream of a world with lasting innovative solutions to global energy challenges. A world with safer, cleaner, reliable, and sustainable energy. For most, it's a world they imagine. For us, it's a world we are creating. With a reputation of showcasing indigenous prowess and expertise through